Hey guys, I'm at the cinema with my best friend Marina.
Hi!
And we're about to watch Vampire Academy, and I'm super excited because, as you know, I love the books, and Marina didn't read the books, so we have two opinions. And if we can make it, we're going to film our opinion right after we saw the movie, so you see our direct reaction for it. So, see you in 2 hours. Bye!
Hi!
So sadly we couldn't film our opinions right after the movie because there was too many stuff and they don't like it when we film in the cinema. So we had to go home, and Marina lives an hour away from me, so I can show you her opinion, but I can tell you she loves it. The first thing I'm going to say is my opinion about the movie, and then I'm going to discuss the details with you. First of all, I'm a fan of the books since 5 years, so I've been waiting for this a long time, and I was so nervous that maybe they would totally screw it up because the trailers were always like just funny and it didn't seem like they catch the serious part of the books, but they did a really good job. Vampire Academy is my number 2 favorite book to movie adaptation right after Catching Fire. And they got the serious point, there's a lot of fighting, and the funny stuff isn't that important or in the middle like they make it seem in the trailers, and it isn't cheesy at all. I absolutely loved this movie. It's one of my favorites ever. So if you're skeptical, don't be. Go in there, you will be surprised how awesome they did it. So if you're wondering why I'm doing this so late, if I'm such a big fan of the books, as you know, I'm living in Germany and the movie got out on 13th March. Over a whole month later than in the US. So I went to see it yesterday, which was Friday the 14th, so just one day after the release date, so I was really quick. Well, now I'm going to discuss the parts that I loved and that I didn't like that much. I mean, like I said, I loved it, so don't worry, but there's always a few parts that you don't like, and we're book-loving people like to pick at little things, so sorry for that. So let's start with the discussion. We're starting off with the car crash with Lisa's parents and Rose, and I like that they kept that one in and that we started with it. And I loved how they explained everything with the Mirai and the Dampairs and the Squigoi, because I was worried about it because nobody gets it when you start reading the book, and it's such a complex world, but they did it so great in my opinion. How it was all explained, you didn't get confused, and it didn't slow down the movie. So I really liked that. And the next thing we get is how they're running away and how Rose is all super badass to me. And with this burning motorcycle, I loved it. This was so awesome. I mean, it's different from the book because Rose was totally high there and couldn't do much about it. But this version in the movie I liked actually better because you see how badass Rose is. Now we're coming to a thing that I didn't like about it. It felt all in all too rushed. They cut it so tight together. We didn't really get a lot of deep sensual conversation, but I mean they only had 1.5 hours to get this whole book in there, but I wish they didn't cut it that tight together. But in the end I think it slowed a little bit down, and I really loved all the Rometry scenes we've got, though in my opinion there wasn't enough of the training scenes, so we didn't have all the witty comments and all the stuff. So in the end it seems like Rose didn't know Dimitri all that well, because they nearly cut out all the fighting scenes and training scenes but I mean, we can't get everything. Though a thing that I absolutely found awesome was how they kept in the scene where Rose does her battle scream and then she tries to attack Dimitri, and how they made it a running joke in the movie with when they are going to the mall and Rose just runs at him screaming "Rah!" and then he's throwing her over, and this was so funny. And then at the end where Rose is like pleading Dimitri to kiss her, I was like, that would Rose never ever do, that's so out of character. But then she goes in to kiss him and then she throws him over. That was so awesome. That was one of my favorite scenes. I think the Strigoi looked really, really creepy with their red eyes and this white skin. They did a really good job at portraying them. And I also liked how they introduced them with this scene where they're at the academy gates and then the Strigoi are attacking them. Without this scene, I think it would have been really hard to introduce them, and that's what I like, that they put this scene in there. I was worried how they would bring the Bond onto the screen and how the non-book people would understand that, and it was awesome how they did it with Rose's eyes, how they turned this yellow-greenish when she had the vision of Lisa, and I think that was a really good solution for this thing. Like I said, I think the movie was a little bit rushed and tight edited, but the scenes with Queen Tatiana, I think they were kinda unnecessary. The first one out, because that's also in the book, but the second was really unnecessary. I think if they would have let that out, they could have put in more of the training scenes, and I like the training scenes, so I was sad that they weren't more in there. So I think they could have switched it out. And also Lisa's speech, I didn't really get the point of it with this whole blood is family, blood is power, blood is what the hell, and I didn't get the point of it really. But I liked how Lisa interacted with Queen Tatiana when she was like, not now, not now, and she keeps talking. That was quite hilarious, but also a thing that book Lisa wouldn't have done, but I liked it. So my favorite scene of the whole movie was the mall scene, because that felt like a totally normal thing to do, and Rose and Lisa had finally some deep conversation that wasn't cutted like back and forth. They had a real conversation, and I really enjoyed it, and how they were just teenage girls going shopping, and the scene where the guy asked if they need a message and Rose attacks them, that was hilarious. Then I have 3 things that bothered me the most, and that was first that Lisa found out about the crush so fast when they were going to the mall. She knew that Rose had a crush on Dimitri, and I think that shouldn't have been in there, because later in Shadowkiss, that's a really important thing that Lisa didn't know about it, so that they should have left out. Then another thing that bothered me was that Rose told Kiara and all the other people there about Spirit and how Lisa cuts herself. I think that wasn't in the book, and I think Rose would never sell Lisa out like that. And another thing that bothered me so much was that they got over the cutting thing, because in the movie they made it seem like Spirit would do this to Lisa, that she has all the cuts on her arms, but in the book Lisa does that to herself, and that's a really important thing to understand Lisa. She does it to herself to get rid of this darkness and the spirit, and there it seemed like it was just a side effect of spirit that there were cuts on her arms, and I think they shouldn't have left it out. A scene that didn't was in the book but it was in the movie, which I absolutely found epic, was this Strigoi dream of Lisa, where everybody turns into Strigoi, and how Lisa turns into a Strigoi because of Christian, and then they're going to attack Rose and Dimitri is dead. I really loved this dream. They couldn't fool me. I knew it wasn't real, but this scene was a real cool extra. The last charm scene, and I liked the scene, but I think it could have been a little bit longer, but they couldn't do that because it was PG-13, and then they had to cut it down to this little bit. But there was also a thing that bothered me, that was when Dimitri said, let's get rid of the dress, I think we should burn it. I think Dimitri never says such a thing. But all in all, this scene was really great. And then we're coming to the scene where Lisa gets kidnapped, and this whole fight scene when they're at Richter's house was epic. This fight, how badass Dimitri was, and how he kicks in the door, and then Spiridon shoots at the door, and I think it was Aborta who got the bullets, and then Dimitri's just going in and kicks him. That was so cool, and all this action scene was one of my favorite things. And then the Psyhounds looked really awesome in my opinion. They did a really good job in bringing them on the screen, and how the eyes of them were blue, and then when they attacked they turned red. That was mind-blowing. And then when Richter tries to shoot Rose, and Lisa and Rose are getting in front of each other like, no, let me in there, you won't shoot me, no, I want to be before you, and no. That was so hilarious, I couldn't stop laughing at that scene. And then the end with Rose and Natalie, where Natalie's Strigoi, this fighting scene was also totally badass and awesome. And how Natalie was like, Rose? And then she hesitates, and then she got kicked, and that was a really important lesson for Rose. I think Sarah played Natalie really awesome, and I just love Natalie with these red eyes and how she was all evil as a Strigoi. And then how Dimitri killed her, that was quite heartbreaking. And the speech where Lisa tells everybody about Spirit was for me kinda weird, because I think in the book it was supposed to be more secret so that not everybody knows about, and then in the movie Lisa just goes on the stage and is like, I have Spirit, it's a new element and I can heal. And I think the outcome shouldn't have been in the first movie of it, because nobody knows really about Spirit, and this whole research team for Spirit was also kinda weird, because in the books nobody really knows about Spirit, and then in the movie they have a research team for it. That was weird in my opinion. And another thing that I liked that they added to the movie was all these Miss Carp scenes, because in the book it's just in the background, and in the movie it's a more important thing, and I like that because you see more of Spirit and its effects. And what I quite don't get this at the end, when they're zooming out of the academy and then they're in the cave and Miss Carp is there and she's saying not now, but soon. And then it was so creepy when they showed all of the strigoi there in this cave, but I quite don't know what that will turn out, so we have to get frostbite. I want to know what this scene is about, so go watch this movie so we get frostbite. I want to see that. So let's talk a little bit about the characters. I think Rose was really in character. She was a lot like Book Rose, and Dimitri was also a lot like Book Dimitri, but Lisa, in my opinion, wasn't quite like Book Lisa. In the movie, she was so mean to Rose sometimes, and it was more like Lisa was going to fix it for them instead for Rose, like she did in the book, and how Lisa called Rose a blood whore. Book Lisa would never do that, and movie Lisa really annoyed me sometimes. Then there's a thing that I didn't like, and that was Kirova, because in my opinion she was completely weird the whole movie. She was not like in the books. She always said such weird things, and she was just weird. It seemed like she was in a team with Mia, and all this weird behavior with touching Rose in the beginning with here like that, and Book Kiara would never do that, and all the things that Kiara did, I think they were out of character, and I think that was a complete different Kiara, but otherwise all the characters were really book-like. Let's talk a little bit about the actors. So Zoe Deutsch plays Rose Hathaway, and I think Zoe is a really good Rose. I pictured her nearly exactly like Zoe looks, and I think Zoe's acting skills are really great, and she brought over all the emotions. Then we have Lucy Fry, who plays Lisa, and I didn't quite picture Lisa like Lucy looks, but I think she's a really good match. And also, I think she acted really good, and that she brought over Lisa good. Then we have Daniela Kozlovsky, who plays Dimitri, and I have to say, Daniela looked so weird with long hair. That bothered me so much. This is the one time that I wouldn't have minded if they changed the character appearance, because Daniela looks so hot with short hair, and with this long hair he looks like a total weirdo, just like with all this button up shirts. I pictured Dimitri all the time in t-shirts, but Daniela played really good. And then we have also Dominic Sherwood, and I think he played Christian perfectly. He really got the emo kid flair, and it was really believable what he did. So all in all, the whole cast did an amazing job, and I think they were perfectly casted, and they're pretty near to the character descriptions. I had a few points to criticize, but they only slightly bothered me. So like I said, all in all, it's an awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it now. We all want to get frostbite, and this movie gets 10 out of 10 points from me. So I'm hoping to death that we will get frostbite and all the other movies. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed my discussion talking about the movie, and I will see you next time. Bye. So the thing that bothered me the most doesn't have to do with the movie in general. It's a German thing that bothered me, because in Germany all the movies get translated, and voiced over. So the thing is, the voices didn't fit at all. They were gruesome. They didn't have any emotions. In my opinion, it sounded like they were just reading from the script without emotions, and I had to turn them out. And I had to tune them out because at the beginning I was just sitting there, this movie is so horrible, it's horrible. But as I started ignoring the voices and just watched the story, I saw that this movie was epic. So I had to blend it out, and also the German translation was really bad, because I know the trailers and some things were translated totally wrong. They weren't funny anymore, and you didn't get the point of what was being said, and you didn't get the point of the story and all, because the translation was so bad. But that has nothing to do with the original movie, so that's just what I had to fight against.